What happens when belief sounds right, but lives don't reflect it? What if faith is spoken clearly, but lived poorly? The book of Titus confronts that gap head-on. Short, direct, and practical, this letter shows that truth is not only meant to be taught, but to be lived. In Titus, faith and daily conduct are inseparable, and integrity becomes the clearest evidence of belief. Overview. Titus is a personal letter written by the Apostle Paul to Titus, a trusted co-worker left to lead churches on the island of Crete. Paul's mission for Titus is clear: bring order, appoint qualified leaders, correct false teaching, and help believers live in a way that reflects the gospel. Unlike longer letters filled with theological argument, Titus is concise and focused. Paul emphasizes that sound doctrine must lead to sound living. Truth that does not transform behavior is incomplete. Throughout the letter, Paul repeatedly connects belief with action, teaching with character, and faith with responsibility. Titus shows that the credibility of the church depends not only on what it teaches, but on how its people live in the world. Historical and social context. Crete had a reputation in the ancient world for dishonesty, moral laxity, and disorder. Paul himself quotes a local saying that describes the culture as corrupt and self-indulgent. The churches in Crete were young and vulnerable, surrounded by influences that could easily distort both belief and behavior. False teachers were exploiting households, promoting myths, and using religion for personal gain. Paul instructs Titus to confront these problems directly, not harshly, but firmly. Leadership, discipline, and example were essential for the church to survive and grow in such an environment. This context explains the letter's strong emphasis on integrity, self-control, and consistency between words and actions. Key themes in Titus. Sound doctrine and sound living. Healthy teaching produces healthy lives. Truth must shape behavior, not just belief. Godly leadership. Leaders are called to model integrity, maturity, and self-discipline. Character gives authority to teaching. Grace that transforms. God's grace does not excuse wrongdoing. It trains believers to live upright and purposeful lives. Good works as evidence of faith. Good works do not earn salvation, but they reveal the impact of salvation. Integrity in a broken culture. Believers are called to stand out through humility, respect, and consistency. Hope anchored in God's promise. Faith rests on the promise of eternal life, given by a trustworthy God. Key passages in Titus. Titus 1 verses 5 to 9, qualifications for church leaders. Titus 1 verse 16, the danger of professing faith without living it. Titus 2 verses 7 to 8, leading through example and integrity. Titus 2 verses 11 to 14, grace that teaches and transforms. Titus 3 verses 3 to 7, salvation by mercy, not righteousness. Titus 3 verse 8, devotion to good works as a result of faith. Relevance Today. Titus speaks directly to modern faith communities navigating cultural pressure, moral compromise, and public skepticism. In a world quick to point out hypocrisy, this letter reminds believers that credibility matters. The message is simple but challenging: faith must be visible. Kindness, integrity, humility, and responsibility give weight to belief. Titus also reminds leaders that influence flows from example, not position. In every generation, the church's witness is strengthened when truth is lived with consistency and grace. Closing thought. Titus calls believers to live faith out loud through everyday integrity. Words matter, but lives speak louder. When belief shapes character and grace transforms behavior, faith becomes credible and compelling. Paul's message through Titus remains clear and timely: let truth be seen, not just heard.